Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So can you tell us a little bit about Young Storytellers, just right off the bat?
So Young Storytellers is all about taking entertainment professionals and matching them up with students one-on-one and empowering the students to tell their own story. I actually didn't start Young Storytellers. I started as a mentor in the program, so I was a volunteer.
Okay.
I was working for a producer in Hollywood, and he had started Young Storytellers when he was a student at AFI, and he required that his employees go in and volunteer. So I did it not because I was doing something altruistic or good-hearted or anything like that. I did it because I was required to. And I went and had such a profound experience that I went back to him and I said, listen, I really loved Young Storytellers, but I'm quitting. So I quit my job with him, and I went to go get a job at Young Storytellers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. What made you decide you were so moved that you decided to do that?
I felt, I mean, I'm a public school educated kid, and the public school system
public
here,
school systems.
right? I mean, it's totally the public school system here lacks all of the resources that I had in public school growing up. I mean, I had chorus, I had theater, we had everything you can imagine, and none of that exists anymore.
Right.
There's no art classes, there's nothing.
Yeah, I was actually in school when the whole No Child Left Behind Act started kind of going. I was in high school.
So I'm old.
And
is that what you're saying?
No.
Thanks.
I guess this is telling everyone's age. So yeah, I was around when they started getting rid of all the arts programs and band and choir. You don't realize how much goes when you lose that funding.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when all of the focus becomes about testing and evaluation and sort of the regurgitation of facts and figures and dates, which is very different than sort of synthesizing that and creating something.
And it's so stressful. It puts so much stress on it.
Sure.
So why is Young Storytellers necessary, kind of while we're on this topic?
I mean, I would say that's why Young Storytellers is necessary. I mean, when you're looking at an educational landscape that is completely devoid of inspiration or creativity or imagination, it's essential to be able to give these students the opportunity to express themselves and gain confidence in that way, especially when most of the education system is telling these kids, you can't, you're not proficient, you're not up to grade level, you're not there yet. And to have an opportunity to be in a program where someone's saying, you can, and not only you can, you are, and saying yes to them. I think that's essential.
So what's next for Young Storytellers? Any plans in the near future?
Yes, we have a ton of plans. The big thing for us is we're expanding into New York City. So we just started our first program in New York.
Fantastic.
Which is very exciting. The other thing is that we're trying to redefine growth as an organization. So we're focusing on defining growth in terms of depth instead of breadth. So rather than adding more and more and more elementary schools, we want to continue working with the elementary school students that we've been working with.
Interesting. So what would that entail, longer programs?
Yeah, so we're working with them in middle school and in high school, and then we're doing filmmaking programs with them. We're bringing in guest speakers from the industry. We've got a pilot program in Culver City and another one in Burbank where we're doing that.
Interesting. Are you using the same children that you started with in elementary school and following through?
That's right. It's an inclusive program, but we're focusing and giving priority to the kids who've done the program before.
Gotcha. Now, say there's someone in Chicago who hears about this and is like, I want this here.
Right.
How can they go about starting that?
Raise money.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. That's actually true. I mean, one of the things that you need, obviously, when you go to, because you're dealing with children, you need to have an infrastructure when you're dealing with the school system. So if you're going into a place like the Chicago Public Schools, or you're going to the Memphis Public Schools or another city, you'd need someone there to sort of deal with all of the child safety issues and the administration of the program issues, and that takes funding. But actually, my non-flippant advice would be to create something yourself. Don't wait for Young Storytellers to come to Chicago. Young Storytellers started as a grassroots movement. It was 3 friends, and they got 7 of their friends, and so 10 people went into one school and worked with 10 kids, and that's how it started. And so I would say, get a group of friends, decide what your resources are, what are your skills, what could you provide to the public school system, and create a program, and go in and get a principal to say yes, and do it, rather than wait for us to show up. And
take that initiative.
That's right. That's right.
Now, for those people who aren't familiar with Young Storytellers, can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on what you guys do?
Sure. So we have many different programs, but our core program is the Script to Stage program. So we take 10 entertainment professionals, we match them up with 10 fifth grade students. They work for an hour a week over their lunch break, and the mentors work with the students and help the students create their own original short script. And then we bring professional actors in from film and television to act out all of their stories at an in-school performance called The Big Show. And at The Big Show, the kids are the stars. It's not the actors who are the stars. The kids are the ones who walk down the red carpet. They've got the VIP badges on. The actors audition for them. They cast the actors. It's all about them. And every word, every idea, everything in that story is theirs. They wrote it. The mentor's just there to help them, to help guide them and give them confidence.
So, and I've done The Big Show for the past several years over at El Rincon, but I didn't know that they take time out of their lunch break.
Yeah.
And I feel like for a kid, that's dedication.
It's huge. It's because, it's funny to go back to the No Child Left Behind. It's this idea of that's the only unstructured school time they have.
Sure.
So, but it's worth it because I think if you ask any of those kids and you ask any of the mentors or the actors that are there, it really is the best hour of their week.
Now, what are some stories of kids who've kind of come in maybe unsure of themselves, and how do they progress in the 6 weeks of this program?
Well, it's always different, right? Because every kid is an individual. One story that stands out. We had a kid at Crescent Heights Elementary. This is maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. He was in the foster care system, and he had been really struggling with discipline issues and had been in the principal's office all the time. And the principal sat down with his teachers and said, we need to figure out something for this kid that's positive because everything that he's getting is negative. And so they chose him for the program. And it was amazing. He actually, for a period of time, he was in between foster homes and was staying with like his 4th grade teacher. Like he was staying on her couch.
Oh, wow.
And
a couch surfing elementary school student.
And they were really, they really cared about this kid and loved this kid so much.
Sure.
And he wrote this incredible story about, he was an African-American kid, and his school was predominantly African-American. And he wrote a story about a new girl who shows up to the school, and she's a white girl. And everyone at the school ostracizes her. No one will talk to her. And this kid that was the character that was based on him gets, as punishment, he gets assigned to be the person who has to walk her around the school and like be nice to her.
Okay.
And so he does that in the story, and he ends up writing this like incredible speech that's all about, you can't judge someone because of the color of their skin or that they may be different from you, and we have all of these similarities and things in common. And I swear, when the actor gave that speech at The Big Show, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was amazing.
That's incredible. Have you ever had kids keep in contact with their mentors afterwards?
Yes. For child safety reasons, like we're sort of like an open and shut program.
Sure.
But we have figured out ways to work with the schools and parents to have kids continue to work with their mentors if that's something that makes sense for them.
Now, can you tell people a little bit about what the mentors do?
We like to say that the mentors are glorified secretaries, right? That their job is to come in and just say yes to the student. And literally, they're like stenographers. Like you sit there with your notebook and your pen, and you're like, and then what happens? And then what happens? And then what does he say? And then what does she say? And they're just saying like, yes. And the main job of the mentor is to like encourage the ideas, but then also to make sure that the story has all the structure it's supposed to have. There's a beginning, a middle, and end. Sure. There's a character that wants something really badly. They encounter an obstacle. There's a lesson at the end. So their job is to make sure that that's all there. But all of the content, all of those ideas come from the students themselves.
And they create amazing content from what I've experienced.
Yeah.
Do you have any good stories of some of your favorite scripts?
Some of my favorite scripts. Well, I have to say that the Star Wars Simpsons mashup is one of the most genius things I've ever seen. There was a script this year that I thought was amazing called Beatles Forever, and it was about Stevie Wonder flying to England and stealing one of the Beatles stories, and the Beatles having to like go and tell him he couldn't have it, and there's like a sing-off. They have like a music competition. There's a sing-off.
Sure.
And
was Yoko Ono there?
She wasn't.
No. Yeah. Sure.
But the kid who wrote that was amazing. He's like a huge Beatles fan, which is hilarious for a 5th grader. But he showed up to his big show and he was covered in Beatles buttons. He had like John Lennon and Ringo, and it was unbelievable. It was absolutely adorable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, we've been talking a little bit about The Big Show. What can you tell people a little bit about what the big show involves?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of the process.
Yeah, so I mean, so the big show. So you've got these 10 kids. They've been working with their mentors for 7 weeks. They've written a screenplay, and it's in screenplay format. So it looks like whatever a professional actor would get if they went to an audition or they were hired to like act in a movie or a TV show. And so the actors show up at the school and they audition for the kids. They show the kids what kind of different characters they can play, and then the kids go up with their mentors and they cast the roles. They're like, you're going to play the scruffy pirate, and you're going to play, you know, my Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah. Which I find is extremely nerve-wracking, by the way.
It is. This is a funny story about the audition process. And this is what's so great about Young Storytellers, because it's completely uncynical, right? I mean, these kids they're 10, 11 years old, and it's still cool to care about something. And so they don't care about celebrity, you know, right?
Yeah.
We had a show where Matthew Perry from Friends was in the cast. And like 7 stories in, no one had cast him. None of the kids, like, nobody. And he was literally on his hands and knees begging, like, please, please, I will do anything. Like pulling money out of his wallet, saying, like, I will pay you if you'll just put me in a script.
The kids are just like, I'm sorry, you're just not marketable.
You're not right.
I'm just not seeing
You're not right. I don't see you. You don't look like a dog to me.
Right.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Speaking of Matt Perry, what are some other celebrities that do this on a regular basis?
So we have recently, over the past couple of years, one of the founders of our foundation is also one of the co-creators of Glee. So we've been really fortunate to have a lot of the Glee actors come and do the kids' stories.
Which I'm sure might be a little bit more relatable to the kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they go crazy. Yeah. And it's funny, like Glee has had such a sort of cultural impact on the kids that I would have to say that every school I go to, there's at least one musical number now in the stories. And 3 years ago, there wasn't. And I really think that has a lot to do with Glee.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So clearly these stories have a profound effect on so many people. Do you think that would translate into a web format?
I do. I mean, I think one of the things that we find is so many of these stories are universal. Mm-hmm. Even though they're the story of one person, they deal with dreams and aspirations that we all have, right? We all want a better job, or we want to make money, or we want to make our parents proud. And so I feel like the opportunity to distribute their stories and get them out so that the entire world can hear them, it serves 2 purposes. It gives our students who don't have a voice in their community the largest platform they could possibly have, but it also touches the listener and it touches the viewer, and it allows them to relate. And who knew that someone in Kansas might be able to relate to an inner city school kid in Los Angeles, but I guarantee you they can.
So we've talked a lot about how these kids' stories have really changed them. Are there any stories that have come up about how their stories have affected adults, or maybe say their parents or mentors?
Something that I think of just off the top of my head now, we always like to say at Young Storytellers that every mentor ends up with the mentee or the young storyteller that they're supposed to end up with. And right now I'm running a session, and one of my mentors, his father's dying. And his mentee, completely unrelated, his mentee is writing an entire story about the fact that his father has died, and he has to like go through all of these things to make his father proud. Like, what are the things that would make his father proud? Okay. And his mentor came up to me and was like, I don't know how this is happening. Like, we've never talked about the fact that my dad is in a hospital dying right now, but he's writing the story that like I would write for my father.
Wow.
And that's amazing.
That's pretty profound.
Yeah.
Now, for the people who are in LA, in the New York area, what's the best way for them to get involved?
It's easy. Go to our website, www.youngstorytellers.com. If you want to mentor, you click the mentor button, and if you want to act, you click the act button, and if you're rich and you want to give us money, you click the give button.
Right.
That's it.
I love that it's all laid out in convenient little buttons.
It's just very simple.
Cool. Now, do you have to be an actor or in the entertainment industry in order to help mentor or act?
You don't. I mean, we have a mentor training. Our program is based on the belief that everyone is an inherently brilliant storyteller, right? We all know how to tell a story. So if you're interested in stories, you're interested in writing, you like kids, you can absolutely mentor on our program.
Do you have any last messages that you want to share to our video audience?
Write stories. Encourage people to write stories. Tell stories. That's how we learn, right? It's the oral tradition.
Right.
So do it.
Back to our Greek roots.
That's right. That's right.
Tell stories.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It was a great pleasure. And thank you so much for everything that you do for Young Storytellers.
And thanks for acting in our shows.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's awesome.
New show coming up here in the spring.
Oh, that's right.
I'm excited.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.